Hello YouTube, new program review today, and we're working on Samarth, S-A-M-A-R-T-H. So, he tells me he has a program that is a push-pull Monday through Wednesday, and then a pull legs Wednesday through Friday, that finishes with the Friday. So the Monday is a push-pull, the Wednesday is a pull legs, and the Friday is a legs push. Straight up, I sort of like that for the legs. Why? Because in my opinion, a pull leg go well together. Because when you do a deadlift is, your legs are involved, but it's also a pull. It's also a push in a sense because you push with your legs. We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves here. Push-pull on the same day is going to involve a lot of antagonist muscles, so I'm not a big fan of that. And legs push is a little bit better because you have movements like the push press, the overhead press, that require you to use the legs as stabilization or as drivers of the weight that also involve the upper body. So synergistically speaking, I'm not a big proponent of doing both push and pull on the same day. This is why people do push-pull legs, because they separate the qualities of the lifts on different days. But that's the template I'm given. He trains 3 times a week. He tells me he wants to focus solely on hypertrophy. His progression is simple. Once he reaches the higher end of the rep scheme, he adds weights and he starts over. That's what I do too. For me, I always believe that progression is overrated in a sense, because progression schemes are less important than rep and set schemes. We'll define that in other videos. If he stalls, he'll switch out the movement with a similar one. Okay, so that's rotating movements. I don't really like the fact that your movement rotation is being triggered by failure. I think it's not a good mechanism for this, for your mental strength. But if it works for you, it works for you. He tells me my chest and tricep takes the longest to recover. Right? And again, perfectly fine, perfectly understandable. There are certain muscle groups that across a group of individuals are going to be more or less conventionally able to recover from volume, but I also believe there are individual differences. For me, for example, my triceps recover like this. I can work them all the time, and my quads take forever to recover. So he says he spaced them out as much as possible. Back recovers extremely quickly, which, to be fair, that's sort of one of the quirks of the upper back. It recovers super fast. Legs recover fairly quickly too. So he's different than me. He's got lots of imbalances all over his body, which is why he's focusing a lot more on unilateral movements to bring up my weak points. Okay, I'm not going to disagree on that. I have a massive bias against unilateral movements, but I'm going to try and remain fair. I just don't like them because they don't agree with me, but they might agree with you. And if you have a weak point, it's a good, isolating an entire side of the body and only working that part is going to help you catch up. Chest is a weak point, he says, so he's added a ton of volume for it. Lastly, he has not added in much leg volume since he wants to maintain them and bring up his upper body to equal proportions with them. Excellent. This is a good example of someone who is giving me a clear indication of what they want. He just indicated that he doesn't want to grow his legs, so that's going to help me to assess his training. Let me just do a little bit of spacing, which I should have done before. Pretty sure I did, it just didn't save. Oh. Okay, I got it right there. Alright, took 5 seconds. First day. Push-pull. He starts with a dumbbell. Let me back off on something I just said. Push-pull, if it's rows and bench, I sort of like, because I think they do complement themselves well, but it's the exception in a sense. meaning that horizontal pulls and horizontal presses complement themselves well, just like I think vertical presses and vertical pulls complement themselves well. But if you let this ingenious combo, in a sense, define the very nature of the day, you might run into some problems, because in my opinion, you cannot let a bench row superset define the entire workout. It can be a part of the workout, but it cannot be the entire emphasis of the day. So he starts with dumbbell bench press, 3 sets of 6 to 8. Love it. Evolving rep range, I always love it. 3 sets. Let's say it's strength work. We might get back to that afterwards to see if it's enough volume or not. He then does wide grip lat pulldowns, 3 by 8 to 12. Okay, wide grip lat pulldowns. He didn't really tell me what equipment he has access to, so I'm going to just assume he has access to whatever. I would always tell people to do weighted pull-ups instead of weighted lat pulldowns, or just pull-ups. I think they're superior. You're moving your body through space. It's more athletic. I think it does more for hypertrophy, because the stretch is not being hindered by the mechanical hinges of the machine. When you have, I don't know, 160 on a weighted, what is it called again? Wide grip lat pull down. When you're extended at the top, it's not 160. You're not being pulled by 160 of force. It's not accurate. Depending on the machine you buy, some machines have also an evolving tension through the range of motion, so it's all over the place. And the issue too is that because your legs are being held by the machine, your spine is being stretched a lot, because the machine is trying to pull you out. This is why you see people who, when they jump out and they start grabbing the bar will literally make them fly up. But I do think that as far as stretching the lats, it's not as good, because most machines I've seen have the handle either in front of you, which is awful because you're doing this, so you're doing more real delts, or it's straight up, so you're pulling like in front of you basically. You're doing this. This does not help with the lats. This is why some people bend over backwards to be able to hit the lats. But the best thing you can do is pull-ups. Why? Because you can move your body around the bar and not the other way around. So I would advise you potentially switch for pull-ups. After that, he does 3 by 8 to 12 incline dumbbell bench. Okay. So for more upper chest and shoulders, I guess. And then he does dumbbell incline rows, 3 sets of 10 to 15. Dumbbell incline rows. I've heard a lot about incline rows. I know that people like them a lot. It hits the lats nicely, apparently. So good. He likes 3 sets. He seems to like 3 sets. Nothing much to say about that. After that, a 3 set of 10 to 15 dumbbell shoulder press. If you're going to go with a 10 to 15 rep range, in my opinion, you should kick up the sets to 4. Because you're giving yourself a lot of leeway. When you do a 10 to 15, it means that you expect to be able to get 15 and then 14, 13, 11. Your strength shouldn't crash from 15 to 13. Meaning what? Meaning that if it does, and that's the reason why you're doing 3 sets, I do believe that you're either not pushing yourself hard enough or the weight selection is not there. Because on a 15 reps set, being able to do 15, 15, 15 might not represent enough volume to justify going up in weight unless you really go light. We're talking about high volume dumbbell shoulder press here. So might as well throw in the extra set, in my opinion. After that, he does a 3 by 6 to 8 of face pulls. And he tells me he won't have strength left after 2 presses. So that's why he does so little face pulls, I guess. I would much rather you reduce the weight on face pulls and actually do them in the 8 to 12 rep range, and you do 4 sets, because the face pull is not supposed to be something you put a lot of weight on. It's not a lift that should be it's not a lift that should be determined by mechanical failure. If you fell on that lift because you are not able to maintain a vertical torso, like I see a lot of people do when they crumble like this, that means you're using too much weight. You need to be limited by your traps and your real delts on this, in my opinion. And then he does incline cable flies, 3 by 10, and then 3 by 10 to 15 wader curls, and then there's a rep range that's just no, the rep range is actually this one. He does the, wait a second. Sorry about that. So there was an, oh, okay, because of the line skip, there's a number that looked like a rep range that I ascribed to the dumbbell incline rows. So no, he actually does the dumbbell incline rows with 3 sets of 10 to 15, and the dumbbell shoulder press with 3 sets of 6 to 8. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Okay, then I take back what I said. I like that rep range for the dumbbell shoulder press because it's an evolving rep range. You're doing less volume, so you can stick to 3 sets, especially because you do so much shoulder volume before. I saw the 10 to 15 for dumbbell shoulder and I was like, okay, he's pushing very lightweight on this, so might as well go all the way, but no. It's actually for his upper back that he's doing the dumbbell incline rows, 3 sets of 10 to 15, and in that case, the same logic applies. The same logic applies. Take what I said for the shoulder press and apply it for the dumbbell incline rows. I think you should do 4 sets. Okay, sorry about that. And then the face pulls are 3 sets of 10 to 15, which I like much better than 3 sets of 6 to 8, of course, so that's great. Sorry, that's a good rep range. And then the incline cable fly is a 3 sets of 10 to 15. So it's at the end of the workout, the chest is tired, which is why in that case 3 sets of 10 to 15 is okay, because yes, when you're that burnt out, you might get 15 reps on the first attempt and then 12. That's just logical, it makes sense. It's also giving you a chance to really push to failure on a movement that is not dangerous. And then he does wader curls, 3 sets of 8 to 12. And for a push-pull, that's the only movement he is really doing for his biceps, because he does the wide grip lat pull-downs with a normal grip, not a supinated grip from what I see. So I would do 4 sets of 8 to 12, just for more volume for the bicep, cannot hurt. Now, the fun begins, because when I look at this, there's lights, there are Christmas lights flashing in my face, screaming, superset, superset. Just makes me want to superset everything, because there are blatant opportunities to superset stuff in there. So, your dumbbell bench press, if you want to keep that as your strength work and you want to stay fresh, you can, if you don't want to superset that. But I would personally superset it with your wide grip lat pull down, or actual chin-ups, or actual pull-ups for that matter, weighted pull-ups. Why? Antagonist muscle groups. It's not going to hinder your performance. What might be hindered is your cardiovascular system's ability to keep pumping oxygen into the muscles to keep you fresh. But I think if you take a small rest in between the two, you can cram them together. After that, he does incline dumbbell bench and dumbbell incline row. Superset that. You already have the incline bench. It's right there, and you can just stack the dumbbells around it like a satanic ritual and do them. This is not, on those movements, it's not going to hinder you at all, especially because you do high intensity or higher intensity rep range with the dumbbell bench than you do with the rows. You do a 8 by 12 and a 10 by 15. So that's going to tax your cardiovascular system, it's going to make your metabolism more pumped up, and it's always something you should be chasing. It's going to save you time too. After that, you do your dumbbell shoulder press, 3 sets of 6 to 8. In that case, I would say keep that. Don't superset that. It's the end of the workout. As you say, you're already going to be tired. So that can be its own thing, where you squeeze every single drop of strength you have left and you focus your energy on that. After that, face pulls, incline cable flies, and water curls, or you're going to superset that. This is a giant set. 100%. So you do these 3 in a row with no rest in between. And that's going to save you time, it's going to make you more efficient. Superset are great. Okay, that was day 1, the push-pull. As far as push-pulls go, this one isn't horrible. I kind of like it. I think it's pretty complete. It's a good push-pull. Okay. After that, he does a pull leg dumbbell. Okay. So from what I see, he does a ton of dumbbell movements. I don't know, he didn't tell me, but he seems to not have a barbell. So we'll go with that. You don't need a barbell. It helps, but you don't need one to make gains and to get bigger. So he starts the pull leg with dumbbell split squats, 3 sets of 8 to 12. I like the evolving rep range, I like it. And you're giving yourself some leeway to manipulate volume, which is always a good thing in a program, and it's something I always like to see. It's your strength work, you do 3 sets. I do 3 sets of strength work too, so I don't know why I'm complaining. After that, he does reverse grip. Reverse grip, so supinated grip, bent over rows. I don't like supinated grip on rows. I think it's dangerous, but if you like them, do them. And for that, he does a 3 by 6 to 8. I think that's too low. I think that's the rep range is too low. The intensity is too high. I think you should do more reps on that. And if you want to match the amount of tonnage you would do, because you're going to have to reduce the weight, you can add another set. I would much rather have you do 4 sets of 10 to 12, especially with a supinated row. That way you really control the weight and you don't risk overstretching the bicep. After that, seated leg curls. Leg curls, I personally don't like them. If you like them, do them. But I would much rather have you do some actual squats. But if that's something you like and it doesn't aggravate your knee, why not? But let me check the rep range, because 3 by 10, okay, there's always a number that jumps. 3 by 10 to 15 is an okay rep range for leg curls. I still think it's low on the volume pull, but you did tell me you don't want to grow your legs too much, so that's good. After that, lat pull down with a V bar, which I love. I think they're great. I think if you do lat pull downs, do them with a V bar. And he brings the handle to the stomach, so that's good, which means he's going to, and that's it depends on how you keep your torso, because if you do this, all right, from here to here, what are you walking? Like from here to here, and then from here to here. A lot of people will have a tendency to do that, or they're going to do that, meaning you're going to start using arms for back exercise. So really, if you have to, lean back and really pull inside, pull the elbows inside to really engage the lats. I know some people think it's bad form, but that's how you target the back. And for that one, he does a 3 by 10 to 15. He really loves to do 3 sets. Samarth, I don't know how to pronounce that name. Samarth. Okay. That's not terrible. Oh my God, I cannot read to save my life. It was a leg curl before, so he did 3 by 10 to 15. I like leg curls more than I like leg extension. It doesn't really matter though, because afterwards he does the lat pull down with 10 to 15, so okay. And then leg extensions, you do, it's the same critique, you do 10 to 15 reps of leg extensions, as I explained before. There are reasons why I don't like that, but you do what you want. After that, he does inverted rows. He doesn't know how many he can do, but inverted rows are not too hard. So he doesn't give you a rep range, but he does inverted rows, which are good. I like to do them supinated. I think that as far as supinated rows go, that's one of the safe options that actually exist out there. So might as well do them supinated. Then he does strap bar shrugs. 4 by 8 to 12. Okay, that's a good rep range for shrugs, I like it. I would think you could actually apply a 10 by 15 rep range for that. And then you do cable bicep curls, which I'm not a big fan of, but okay. 3 sets of 10 to 15. So again, it sticks to 3 sets. And one good thing is there are evolving rep ranges all over the place. Why is it a good thing? Because it's going to allow you to control volume like this. Why is it a bad thing? Because it's going to mess with your head. Having that much freedom can be damaging because those are variables that you have to keep track of to make sure that your tonnage never goes down and you keep progressing. So it's a double-edged sword. Be careful with evolving rep ranges. This is why sometimes having fixated rep ranges is a good thing, because they are constant, they don't change. Only the weight changes if you do progressive overload with plates. Okay, here, legs, I see a striking lack of pulls from the floor, but you have a trap bar. So I would like to see you open that pull legs, especially it's a pull legs where you're going to work your back. I would like to see you open that with some trap bar deadlifts. Start it with some trap bar deadlifts. It's going to boost your strength, it's going to boost your hypertrophy, it's going to warm your body up. And then you can move up to do your dumbbell split squats and everything. Secondly, supersets. Supersetting things on a lower body day is more tricky because lower body lifts are very taxing on the cardiovascular system and it's easy to overreach. But you can superset dumbbell split squats and reverse grip bent over rows. Unless you really suffer a mechanical failure from the fact that your legs and back are not able to keep you in that bent position for the rows, in which case don't do it. You can totally superset seated leg curls and bar lat pull downs. Just do it. I know it's tough in the gym. Sorry about that. I know it's tough in the gym to reserve 2 machines, but if you talk to people, it's doable. You can just rotate. Leg extensions and inverted rows can be supersetted too. And trap bar shrugs and cable bicep curls can be supersetted too. When you can superset stuff, do it. I would even say you sort of have a giant set on your hands here. What I would advise you to do is start the day with a trap bar deadlift as your strength work, and then superset the split squats with the reverse grip bent over rows, and then the seated leg curls with the lat pull downs, and finish up with a giant set of leg extensions, inverted rows, trap bar shrugs, and bicep curls. It's going to save you some time. Do not work the same muscles, and therefore it's going to keep you going. It's going to pump blood in your heart, etc., etc. And the last day, legs and push. And he starts with a barbell squat. Yes, squats are amazing. So I take back what I said before when I said you should do normal squats instead of doing leg extensions, but keep in mind that you should be doing trap bar deadlifts. Barbell squats, he does a 3 by 6 to 8. Love it. He doesn't want to grow his legs. That's enough to maintain. That's good. After that, dumbbell bench. This is why I do not like push legs. What does a squat have to do with a bench? Nothing. You're working completely antagonist muscle groups, which means you're going to have to go through the warm-up again, and your body only has so much blood. So your pump is switching areas all the time. That's just the way I think about it, but I don't think it's synergistic. but if you like it, do it. After that, he does a 3x6 to 8, 6 to 8. So first, the dumbbell bench is 3x6 to 8, and if you go back to the push-pull, it's also the same thing. It's a bench press 3x6 to 8, which means you're going to have the if I'm not wrong, let's see. Legs push, push, push. Yeah, which means you have your leg push when you do your heavy dumbbell work on the bench immediately before you do the same thing with your push-pull. So, can you recover from that? Are you able to? I think he does it here because the legs push is on the Friday, so he gets the weekend to recover. If that's the case, I would advise you, and maybe you already do that, to maybe do more volume on the legs push, meaning that on the dumbbell bench on that day, instead of doing the 3x6 to 8, do a 4x8 to 12. Ramp up the volume and focus on the intensity and the higher weight on the Monday. I think it's going to be a good tool to progress on that lift. After that, he does dumbbell Romanian deadlift, which are a very good lift. With resistance bands, he does 3 sets of 8 to 12. Like it? After that, standing barbell press, 3 to 6 to 8. Considering the lack, of vertical presses you do in your training, I would either do a 4x8 to 12 on the standing barbell press, or even a 4x10 to 15 with lower weight. Because you need, I know your chest is a lagging body part, I know. But you might develop shoulder impingement and muscle imbalances doing so many vertical presses and so few vertical presses. And I know you do incline dumbbell bench, but the incline dumbbell bench is not an overhead press. It doesn't replace the actual overhead press. So I would say more volume on the overhead press. After that, he does single leg glute bridges, 3x8 to 12, that's good. Incline cable fly, 3 sets of 10 to 15. And incline curls, 3 sets of 8 to 12. And lying cable tricep extension, 3 sets by 8 to 12. So all of that stuff at the end is isolation movement to target weak body parts and finish up the work. That's very smart in the context of his leg and push. Why? He does squats, heavy bench that I told you shouldn't be doing heavy on that day, and that's why. Romanian deadlifts and standing barbell press. Those are 4 very taxing lifts. If you take a look at Samarth, if you take a look at the rest of your program, you're going to quickly realize that no other day of your program has a list of very taxing movements like that. Even if I add the trap bar deadlift to your pull legs, you still don't have 4 taxing lifts in a row. On your push-pull, you might say that the bench press is, but then after that, you have the dumbbell shoulder press that is going to be taxing, but it's 2. Here you have 4. And the fact that you put that right before the weekend is a good indication that you know what you're doing, because you're going to have 2 days to eat and sleep to recover. So I'm impressed with that, because you finish the day with isolation movements that are not going to be taxing. So it's a good program, it's a good way to think about this. Overall, on that day, of course, you will never superset the barbell squats, you need to be fresh. Same for the dumbbell bench, especially because you're going to up the volume if you follow my advice. I will also not superset the dumbbell Romanian deadlift, and I would not superset the standing barbell press. So that's a day that might be your longest day, because you're going to take rest intervals that are quite long in between those lifts, and each lift is going to represent its own portion of the workout, and you do 3 sets of each, so it's going to take some time. So you know what's coming. To be faster and to finish the workout faster, especially because after those 4 lifts, you're going to be burnt out. You're going to want to go home. And as I explained in my programming videos, this is a state of mind that you don't want to be in when you have to do isolation movements, because they're already not super engaging movements, so you're not going to give it your all. So I would say superset, the single leg glute bridge, the incline cable fly, the incline curls, and the lying cable tricep extensions. Do a giant set of these 4, get it done. They all work different muscles, it's not going to overlap, and you're going to get the pump of your life. And I know that I said before that I don't like legs and push because you send blood to your legs and then you ask your body to send it to your chest. But it's because those muscle groups are so big and you're doing compound movements that are going to be very taxing on the system. But glute bridges, cable flies, incline curls, you're going to get a full body pump. And because it's inside of a superset, it's not just sets following each other. That constant body pump is going to be fed because you're going to keep moving left and right to get it done. So that's a good thing. So overall, I think it's a good program. I like what you've done with it. I think it's going to do what you want. I think you're going to get a good chest out of it. You have a lot of chest volume, that's good. The tricep is manipulation of volume for the tricep. I mean, you do a ton of presses. So if your triceps don't get smoked too much on presses, that's fine. But yeah, if the triceps take a long time to recover, you do a lot of press. Which is good then that you have the pull and leg in between, because you do no triceps on it. So that's great. That's again, that's something I didn't notice, but now I do, and it's a good thing. You thought about that. So my main advice would be to do the supersets I told you to do. Don't do the wide grip lat pull down. I would say do weighted pull-ups instead. They're a better use of your time. Modify the intensity of the legs push dumbbell press, where you're going to do more volume, and focus on the intensity and heavy weight on the Monday. As far as your dumbbell incline row, I would have you do 4 sets instead of 3. And that's pretty much that from what I see. The supination on the bent over rows I would take out because it's dangerous for no reason. And then yeah, the rest I really like. So that's it for your program. Samarth, thank you for sending it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Have a good day.